Hi, everybody. It's episode 469 of PodQuest.
Nice.
Hey.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
It's Wednesday, August 9th, 2023. I am Chris. With me is Druten.
Hello.
And Walnut, who did not get the joke at first.
No, I mean, it's not really a joke. It literally is 469. I just didn't pay attention.
Yeah. Good job not paying attention. What are we even
You know-
paying you for, man?
You're paying me? Like, I'm waiting for those checks then if you're paying me, because, like, this is a valuable time right now.
No, I'm sorry. Hollywood's on strike right now. There are no checks.
I mean, we're not SAG-AFTRA or WGA, so we're not being struck against. We don't have a contract being struck
Don't
against.
assume you know me.
Well, I know me. I'm not part of them. I'm not a scab. I'm not a screen actor, and I'm not a writer. Technically, I do write for bonus action if that ever comes back, but I'm not a writer.
Let's be real. You don't write anything for that. You wing it. We all know it.
It's like maybe 75 writing, 25 just let's play it by ear, because that's how you are as a DM. Once you get into game time, it's like whatever the fuck they want to do, and everything gets thrown out the way. You can prepare.
It's because all your players are chaotic, and anything that you prepare just gets thrown out the window.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, that's just even with games that aren't with chaotic players. It's just straight up.
No, Richie, that's the thing. All role players are chaotic.
Exactly. You
There are
never.
non-chaotic.
One thing I have basically learned is never, unless you're playing a one shot, you never prepare for the session. You prepare the world.
Well, was it bonus action or one of your other games that you were saying like forever ago, that you had like prepared a bunch of stuff, that like could potentially happen? But, like, one path, it was, like, all this elaborate, like, dungeony stuff, and the other path was basically safe. And you tried to lead them a little bit towards the one, and they just went the other way, and you were just like, oh, well, alright. Guess we're not doing any of this stuff I spent all this time developing.
I mean, it probably could have been bonus action. It might have been bonus action, because I had written out multiple scenarios to give them the options of, like, what they want to do, if they want to handle the goblins, if they want to handle the, no, what was it? No, it was, I gave them, it was when they went to the encampment, I gave them the option of handling the goblins or handling the Durgar or handling the outcasts. And I was not expecting them to go to the goblins and recruit the goblins to go fight the Durgar. Like, that was like, I had plans of like, alright, they're gonna deal with the goblins and then they're gonna come back. And depending on how long it takes for them to deal with the goblins, there's a possible role that something bad might have happened during their time away from the mine and stuff like that. So it's that, and there is a dungeon that I prepared in my original campaign that we have not done. That we never did. And that's because I rushed that ending of that campaign. So it was, Drew was in it. He's in all the campaigns I'm in. It was the Infinity Stone campaign.
Oh, right.
And, so every one of the dungeons, I based them kind of off some sort of medium. So like, the last dungeon they went to was literally a Scooby-Doo hallway. And there was like I had a plan of doors that they could go through that as they went through the doors was the possible right or wrong path. And it was just a long hallway with a bunch of doors in it, and like in the Scooby-Doo cartoons where they're going back and forth between the doors. There was one more dungeon that I had prepared, where it was Final Fantasy VII based. I can't remember the name of it, but they were also going after, what Soulstone was, the Yellowstone. Or not Soul, that's the, Mind Stone. I think they were going after the Mind Stone. And like, I treated that as like, that's a piece of command materia, and like, I think the main character, or the head of the town's name is Sid. The enemies they were fighting were like iron giants and shit like that. It was very Final Fantasy based.
So what you're saying is your ideas were unoriginal.
I mean, that's all ideas.
I was going to
That's
say,
all
are there original ideas anymore?
But so what happened was one of our players was getting ready to have his daughter, and so I cut that session and made it so that the big bad villain found the Infinity Stone there, and then and went to like the final battles, like announced them final battle in X amount of days, and they then had time to prepare for the final battle and whatnot. And also that campaign was my first campaign I ever ran. It was it started with pretty much a completely different group, and I wanted to plan the Infinity Stone and the video game references and everything. Because I wanted to pull in everyone who was there. So everyone had different interests in real life. So like one of the dungeons, it was the Time Stone, was a Legend of Zelda referenced area. And one of the original players was a big fan of Legend of Zelda. And like his fucking screen name is Link Smash. Because he likes Link and he plays Smash. So like I was basing a lot of these things like that one of the other ones, they encounter the Doctor from Doctor Who. Like literally, I think I called him the practitioner in this, and I based him basically. I think he was more off of Smith than any other Doctor. Maybe like a cross between Smith and Tennant, but mostly Smith, because one of the people who was playing was a huge Doctor Who fan. So like that was like my first campaign.
Okay, that's fair. Come up with your own ideas though, man. Come on, you can do it.
Look, even part of bonus action isn't my own ideas.
I know. You're so unoriginal.
No, I think I've told this story. Literally, the idea of what's going on in the part of what I'm going for with what's going on with the Lonely Mountain. I can't remember what I called that mountain, but part of what's going on with that was because I was so bitter about how Outriders handled their like main story thing. And I thought they handled it so poorly that I'm writing this better. And so that's kind of what that kind of references that a little bit, because I was just like, this was bad, I'm doing better. But that's
and
really...
then you give the whole thing up.
What's that?
I said, and then you just went and gave the whole thing up.
I didn't give anything up. No one played Outriders.
No, I meant bonus action.
Oh no, I've been meaning to send a message out to the group and say, hey, let's plan for September.
You've been saying that since, I don't know,
last
April?
September.
Well, yeah, last August. Yeah, we were supposed to start up since last August, but then Eric had COVID, or no, maybe? Yeah, Eric got COVID. I don't know, things just got super busy, and I wasn't able to, like, really plan, and I just wasn't feeling it, at the time. I was just exhausted.
So when was our last one? Our last one was September.
Yeah. Because
we did more of these than I realized.
Well, we had pre-recorded through summer, because I was like, I don't want to record during summer. I want to take time off as a summer break for us. Like, we are at a season break. We're at a season stop. And so, even if it took us a full year to come back, it's like, alright, it took us a full year to write this and come back. It takes, for me at least, a lot of work, and I've been busy, and I've been just honestly not feeling writing. It's been really hard for me to get into writing from time to time, which is why it's been a little delayed. But also just dealing with my own personal well-being of whether or not I want some people to come back or not.
I thought you already made that decision.
I did, and then, like, that person kind of hasn't been as terrible as they used to be, as they were, so, like, at least terrible to me as they used to be or were, so, like, I kind of turned back on that, but we'll see. That's that's a lot of behind the scenes that we can talk about later, off air.
You're right. Anyway, what's on the agenda, Rich?
On the agenda, apparently there was some sort of Hades thing, and then there was some sort of Pokemon thing, and then I did something with Remnant 2, and then Cobb watched some sort of Demon Slayer thing.
The season. I watched the season of Demon Slayer.
That is a Demon Slayer thing. Am I not wrong?
I'm just saying, you kind of underplayed it a little.
I mean, I underplayed everything, I think.
That's true, except for the one thing that you wanted to do.
I mean, I didn't really want to do it, I just did it.
Tomato, potato.
I mean, more like pie and ice cream.
Those two go together, though.
I know, exactly.
You're the worst. Anyway, yeah. Drew, I saw you copied this link. I think that was you, at least. Had you seen this already? The Hades stuff?
I'd seen the headline, but hadn't looked into it. So while we were going through that, the intro there, I was reading through this article. That thing is fucking insane.
Okay, so I thought it sounded insane, but they never fully spell out what, like, this heat, like, what stuff you can do with these heat settings or whatever they're called.
I mean, so I'm trying to just remember off the top of my head, but there's things like enemies have more health, enemies will have shield, you have a time limit like you have to beat the zone in like X amount of time, otherwise the run just ends. Bosses will have different moves. You have less options on like the boons that you pick up. It's all basically it's all fuck yous eventually.
Okay, yeah, so I guess to Rich, for you and the listeners, Hades has it's basically settings to make the game harder.
Yeah.
So if you can beat that game as is, well, you actually have to beat it once in order to unlock the.
Yes.
And you can turn things up. The max you can turn it up to is 64, I guess.
Apparently.
Your heat gauge can go as high as 64 in each of the categories, it sounds like. And it's a bunch of stuff that Drew said. I also noticed in here it sounds like some of the settings actually disallow you from being able to power up your character at the mirror thing in your room.
Oh, right. Yep.
And some bosses have extra forms. So I guess like the bosses actually have additional stages to what they normally have.
Yeah, quite. I've not gotten past like 8 so once you beat the game, to like to keep gaining stuff to upgrade the weapons and all, you have to increase the heat for each run. So each time you beat escape with a certain weapon, you then have to bump the heat up one more to get rewards again with that same weapon.
Okay.
I think the highest I have is 8 or 9 on the shield.
Oh wow. Yeah. So this whole thing was apparently thought to be impossible, or at least like so unreasonable that it was basically impossible. And then one player, Angel 1C, I assume is how you say their name, is apparently one of the top Hades players in the world, and just managed to fucking do it.
I disagree. They did not do it. They modded the game to take out random, which is what this game is all about. So they did not do it.
To take out some random.
They took out random, which is what this game is about.
They didn't take out all the random.
The main effort of modding was to remove so-called toxic RNG in order to make skill expression more prevalent. Meaning they took out the RNG to make their skills better.
Right? Did you read the whole article, Rich?
I'm skimming through the article. I'll be 100% honest. Once I read your note of like it requires some modding, I'm sorry. Like I don't.
Rich, literally the 64.1 is not possible to do without it. The devs did not balance it. It is unplayable at that level if you don't make some concessions to it. So the only thing that they really edited was like what the starting room has, which you can just go in there and keep resetting the game. They broke down the percentage. It is a 1 in 6,802 possibility of getting the right weapon combination to physically be able to do it in an unbalanced setting. So up to 40 they can do fine. Like top Hades players can do up to 40, because that is what Supergiant balanced the game up to. They let it go up to 64, and it's just like, yeah, no one's ever going to do this, so we don't have to do the work to make it playable. We're just going to have the numbers there so that people can like just go in there and see themselves get destroyed.
And so they modded to make sure they get the right weapon loadout at the beginning of the run.
Yeah.
So they don't play the game
I don't know
it's
that
intended.
They get the entire weapon loadout. They get one of the things.
Yeah. Which is just simply a way to make sure that they don't have to play 85 hours to get one run that is possible to even attempt. Because it's not so much that like I understand your argument, but like stuff like this, like it's not like it's some weird world record where they're winning money. It's an internal community thing. So like the people that are doing it are all using the same metrics. It's not like this person did it with a mod and everyone's mad at them. Everyone that attempts it does it this way. They still can't beat it because it is that hard.
Sure. I just argue that they still can't beat it because they had to cheat to beat it.
I mean, without it, it's impossible.
Then that's a problem on Supergiant and not balancing and, you know what, keeping up with the game that they created that was their biggest seller. Supergiant should have figured out ways to balance it and patch it post the game's release when this game got that big.
I don't know that they're incredibly small.
Okay.
B, I don't know that they ever thought anyone would even bother to try.
Yeah, but even when it became a huge game, like for people to be playing it 3 years later and still attempting this, like, I can't imagine they expected that.
I mean,
to dedicate a team like that, like, I think there's only like 30 people at that studio.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, to dedicate anyone to balance something that they had no intention of people ever being able to do, like, that takes them away from being able to work on something else that will actually make them money still.
Then don't make the thing that you don't intend on people to do. I'm sorry, if you don't intend on people to get beyond 40, but you add up to 64, then don't put up to 64. So what are you doing here? Like,
Drew, you can correct me if I'm wrong, just because I don't know how to do this. Like, the sliders all go up to, like, a certain, like, number, and, like, your total heat gauge goes up to that, right? So, like,
right.
In theory, like, you can turn, say, like, boss all the way up to 64, but if you don't turn anything else up, your, like, total heat gauge stays at, like, 30 or something like that?
Essentially. Like, not everything has the same amount of things that you up it, but basically it'll be like, okay, if you put this up one, your gauge goes up. And if you put this up by 1 tick, it'll move the gauge up by 3 or something, essentially. Because some things are more imbalanced than others.
Okay. So, like, realistically, like, the reason that you can turn all of these things up so high is because there's kind of an infinite not an infinite number, but there's a very high number of customization for, like, what your level could potentially be.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, no two people necessarily would have the same one. So to put, like, a hard limit on it, you might not be able to get, like, the challenge that you're looking for.
Right. Because, like, some people might be better at it at just blitzing through, not necessarily needing everything. So they might want to turn the timer on, or they don't care about having so many options for the boon. They're just good. They're like, whatever, it doesn't matter to me. They can just put up all the boons. I don't, and then they could go, all right, well, let's see what happens if I just do everything. Like, so.
Yeah, and I'm very much, and Rich, I know you hate mods and you hate kill-assisted stuff when it comes... Not mods, I'm sorry, glitches. I meant glitches. I know, like, when it comes to, like, speedrunning and stuff like that, you hate, like, that whole scenario. Like, you are very much of the mind of, if you're going to play it fast, play the game as is, as fast as you can, otherwise, why bother?
Otherwise, you're not playing the game.
I completely disagree. And, like, if you're being judged against somebody that plays the game straight through, then yeah, like, no, that is not fair. You can't judge somebody that uses mods or uses glitches against somebody that doesn't, because those are two completely different play styles that require completely different sets of, or skill sets. And, like, that's kind of what this is too. Like, just because they're setting themselves up to get the one weapon they need that has a 1 in 6,000 chance of appearing, doesn't mean that, like, the skill that they need to actually play the game isn't there. Like, I couldn't even get past the third area. I think you actually got further than I did. Didn't you clear it once?
No, I never cleared it.
Oh, for some reason I thought you cleared it.
I got bored after 12 hours.
Do you remember how far you actually got?
The third area? Elysium, I think that is.
Is that the one where you fight, like, Hercules or something like that? Like, as, like, a mini-boss?
Not Hercules, but...
You fight the Minotaur.
Minotaur, yeah. I fought the Minotaur. I don't know if I ever beat it, but I fought the Minotaur.
So I'm trying to remember. So the first area, you fight, like, a Valkyrie or something like that, right?
You fight one of the Furies.
Furies, right. Lady with wings.
Yes.
The second one, you fight the lava dragon thing, right?
Mm-hmm, the Hydra.
And then and the third one is the one that Richie's talking about?
Yeah, so the mini boss is the Minotaur. The final boss of that area is a dual fight with the Minotaur, and I forget the guy's name, but
I think I got to the dual fight, but never finished it. But
okay. Like, you got further than me then, because I got past that dragon once and got to, like, an encounter and just got fucking wrecked. I didn't realize it was a Minotaur. For some reason in my head, it was like a Greek, like, hero character, like a Hercules or a Perseus or something.
No,
I did not think it was a Minotaur.
It makes sense to think that Elysium, like, or that area, I think it was Elysium, I don't remember.
Yeah,
it's less about, it's not what you would expect, Hades to look like. So it's, like, more, like, an area of the living and demigods and whatnot. So it makes sense to think that you would have fought Hercules there.
But I don't remember it being the Minotaur, so alright.
But, like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm all for quality of life mods. I'm all for asset mods and things like that. Like when I play City Skylines, I mod that game because like a lot of the like there are things that are needed to make the gameplay just better. Like there's a mod called Move It where you can like move things that you've placed in the world. There's a mod called Anarchy where you could place things anywhere because like some of the limitations are like, you know, I have just this much room, but I can't place this here, or I want to put a different kind of tree there. Like some of that stuff, like I'm all for that stuff.
Arbitrary.
I'm all for asset
it's
mods.
arbitrary limitation.
Yeah, like it's dumb limitations, but like, and sure, the developers, which is a small team, didn't balance this game beyond a certain point because they didn't think anybody would ever do it. But once they did see people doing it, yes, they're a small team, so maybe they don't really have the resources to push it. But if players can mod it to make this doable in one sense, which I feel like that mod in particular is basically saying, I need this weapon, otherwise I can't do it, and that is cheating. That's like saying you put on limit mode with your Game Shark in Final Fantasy VII, and you always use your limit breaks. Like,
I feel like that's going a little too far, though, because, like, the limit breaks actually give you, like, a definitively stronger attack every single round.
But they're looking for this one specific weapon, because if they don't have this specific weapon or have this specific loadout, they cannot do this, which means they're not skilled enough with everything else. They're only skilled enough with this specific thing they're looking.
But so from what I was reading, it has nothing to do with that one person. Like, in order to play through that thing, like a lot of these games, there's a specific weapon that makes it possible, probably based on speed or something like that. Like, it's not so much damage, it's probably like the quickness of the attack is the only way to do things based on how quickly the enemies respond or something like that.
Well,
so, and especially
in the hard time limit, like, you have 5 minutes to clear each zone.
And on top of that, there's no stat improvements. So, like, in the base game, as you die, you can go to that mirror and, like, spend whatever points they were to, like, improve yourself. Mm-hmm. There's no improvements. It's just you have to start the run with that particular loadout, or without that mod, it sounds like they just reset the game over and over again until they get, like, a drop that works, which is not all that different from the way a lot of RPG speedrunning goes. Like, if you watch, like, glitchless Pokemon runs are all about like stats and encounter rates. So, like, if they don't get the encounter of, like, a certain Pokemon, or, like, the stats don't come up right, they hard reset and restart the game, because they know that, like, that fine line of this Pokemon can take this attack from this from an enemy that is type advantage versus, like, 1 point lower and it's a one-hit KO. Like, that ruins the run, so rather than wasting their time with the run, they just reload it and try again. Mm-hmm. And that's, like, all this mod is doing is taking out the having to try it over and over again until you get that particular setup at the beginning of the game. It's just, all right, here is the setup, just run as fast as you can and good luck. You're probably still going to die because this shit is impossible. Like, I can't even get through I could consistently get through the first, so Drew, is, like, the whole, like, start to boss considered the zone?
Yeah.
So, like, I could consistently get through the first zone. Beyond that, like, half the time I couldn't even get up to the lava dragon thing. Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes I'd make it up there and I would die very quickly. I think I beat that thing once. Yeah, I beat it once, because I only got to Elysium one time. Like, that game is fucking hard.
He maxed out is ridiculous. I just tried it. I died in the third room.
Jesus.
I don't know the last time I didn't get to Hades.
So, like, early on in the game then, is it, like, enemies are doing more damage to you? Do you have less health? Like,
I mean,
are there
yes.
more enemies on screen that you're trying to juggle between?
Yes, to all of those. So, I mean, I could tell you, like, enemies do double the damage. You get no healing for the rest of the game, and don't get any health bonus that you would have. So, I only had 100 HP. Everything costs more. There are 60% more enemies. Bosses have different stuff. Enemies have 30% more life. Armored enemies will have 2 perks additionally. Mini bosses will have extra enemies. Each time you exit a world, you'll lose you have to get rid of a boon, or a zone.
Oh,
whatever
so
you
like
wanna
the
call
things
it.
that you would normally be able to carry through, like you don't get to keep.
Yeah, like, so you're going to lose one of the abilities you've picked up along the way. Or, well, 3, it's 4, I guess, is to make it all the way. Enemies are 40% faster. Traps deal 400% more damage. You lose all 12 of the mirror talent. All enemies have 2 hearts, so that the first 2 hits you do on enemies do no damage. You only get 1 choice from any boon, and you only have 5 minutes to clear each zone. That's what happens when you have it maxed out.
Now, your normal runs, there are no time limits, right?
Correct.
Like, if you had to guess, how long does it normally take you to get through, like, Zone 1?
I mean, I could tell you that my fastest run of the game is 22.
And how many zones are there?
4.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, 5 minutes is reasonable, because that also, like, the timer stops, like, once you've cleared a room. So you have 5 minutes to clear all the room. Actually, no, it doesn't stop. It stops if you're in any conversation. So,
Okay.
like, if you pick up a boon and, whatever god talks to you, that's not counting your timer, but...
So you don't really have time, like, to, like, scour the room afterwards to see if there is, like, anything to, like, grab. It's basically beat the enemies until you can move on, beat the enemies, move on, beat the enemies until you clear the zone.
Yeah.
That sucks.
See, like, I'm kind of just like, I am sort of dismissing this because when I think about this and your max heat and whatnot run, sure, you had to do it modded, but we as a group didn't talk about the streamer who won $20,000 for winning the All Legendary Skulls challenge in Halo 2 last year.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, so Legendary Skulls are similar to the heat in Halo 2. You have to collect them all first, and then you can add them, and it makes the enemy stronger, makes you weaker, makes them be hit harder, this, that, and blah, blah, blah. And it has been a challenge that's been set since Halo 2 came out.
Like, since the original Halo 2?
I believe so. I can't 100% remember. I know skulls were in Halo 2 and Halo 3. I just can't remember, like, exactly how long it's been. There's only one skull that you can't use in this all skulls run, and that's the skull that makes you invisible. Everything else you have to use, which makes the game extremely hard. The bounty was first placed back.
Are most of them buffs to the enemies, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the original bounty was placed back in June of last year, and then online personality, Moist Critical, raised it to 20,000 to try to get more people to try it, and then somebody actually did. Well, here's the thing. Took note and finally got it done by using glitches and skips, treating it like an especially difficult speedrun. So again, I would have been like, well, he didn't actually do it. He glitched the game out, knowing this. Like, we didn't talk about that last year.
Yeah, I never saw it, but I also don't...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had we seen that, I'd have probably thought that was cool to maybe talk about,
Yeah, like, I had no idea that was a thing. It's not like I picked this out because it was Hades. I picked it out because I happened to see it while I was scrolling the internet. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. And then reading up on it, I'm like, oh, wow, so, like, this is a thing that's, like, in theory, not really possible to do. And it sounds like the All Skulls thing is also, like, in theory, not really something you can do.
Yeah, it is extremely, extremely difficult.
And, like, I also, like, I have a different mentality for glitches. Like, as long as you are being judged in such a way where, like, glitches are legal, like, I don't see a problem with that, because it still takes an insane amount of skill to pull those off. It's not like you can just start a game and pull off the glitches. Like, I've tried to do, like, the weird ones that they use for, like older, like, SNES games, like Link to the Past, and they're incredibly hard to still pull off. Like, they're pixel perfect, and even a game that I know very well,
too.
Yeah, like, I can't pull off these glitches, but these speedrunners go in there and they're just like, oh yeah, you just walk, while they're commentating, they're like, yeah, you just walk over this wall and, like, you tap it 3 times, you do a sword spin, but you have to be on this particular pixel. If your pink little hair nub isn't touching this pixel, it doesn't work. I'm like, I can't. Like, I can't even fathom being able to do half of that stuff.
I mean, I can't imagine playing a game more than once every 6 months, let alone sitting there and that being the only game you play over and over and over again just to get that glitch, just to get that your time down by a second.
Yeah. Like, I think the closest that I've done is, like, I like I like the speedrun strats for Mario World, specifically for the 12 exit Mario World. Because other than a few like very, very specific things that you have to do in it, it's very easy. Like, as long as you know how to play Mario World, you can do most of these things. I think the hardest thing for me is the underwater shell spinning thing that they do. Like, you basically, like, it in Mario World, and Drew, I know you know this, if you're underwater and you're holding an object, you swim much faster. But there's a way that, like, if you do that and you have a cape that you can kind of, like, do a spin while holding the shell to take out enemies without slowing yourself down or dropping the shell first. And I had the hardest time trying to actually, like, do that consistently. But, like, other than that, like, I tried doing, like, the Pokemon, like, strat for, like, Red and Blue. Like, it's incredibly hard. Like, you have to get a Nidoran, like, a Nidoran male, because the game the main strat for that game is you basically beat the game with just a Nidoking. But in order to get this Nidoran, they have figured out exactly how to basically set the memory on the game to, when you enter a specific square of grass, it will always pop up, and it will always pop up with a very specific stat set, so that you can actually beat the game with a Nidoking without ever getting, like, accidentally one-hit KO'd by, like, a critical attack. And it's like, you have to do a bunch of, like, specifics. Some of it's almost like, do you guys remember back when, like, Red and Blue were new and there were all those, like, internet rumors of, you know, if you do, like, these 4 things and then go talk to this person, they'll give you a Mew, or if you, like, go to these towns and talk to somebody and then go never go on the SSN, but go after you get surf, you can then surf to, like, the other side of it, and there's, like, a platform with a truck. And if you use strength on the truck and move it, there's what turned out to be Meryl, who at the time was being called Peekaboo, would be underneath.
Mhm.
Like, do you guys remember any of that stuff?
Yeah.
So, like, that's what a lot of, like, the Pokemon strats are like. It's, like, these very, like, specific, like, all right, well, talk to this guy. When he's halfway done talking, reset the game. But make sure you save before you talk to him, because your game needs to load while you're standing right next to him. And then walk this very specific path and enter the grass. And when you do that just right, the Nidoran appears. I'm like, this is way too like, how does anyone even remember the path to walk? Let alone, like, the specific timing of, like, resetting the game right as, like, the dude says something or whatnot. That shit is bananas, guys. Bananas.
I mean, the thing about the Mew glitch one is close to how you can actually get a Mew.
That's true. Like the whole, like, flying to the different cities and, like, talking to, like, the dude from that teaches you how to catch Pokemon and stuff like that. Yeah, like, that whole thing is very weird, and it's very funny that, like, it actually does work. Though I never actually knew that was, like, legitimate until so long after that it just wasn't even worth doing. Like, I think I found out that was, like, a legitimate way to get Mew, like, when, like, Diamond and Pearl or something that was out. So, like, well past the point that, like, I would be touching Red and Blue.
Mm-hmm.
But Mew was just on the cartridge the whole time.
Yep.
Silly Pokemon. Actually, speaking of Pokemon, do you guys want to talk about the Pokemon Presents and all of the one thing that was really, like, cool?
Sure. Let's move on to Pokemon.
So we're all going to play the trading card game, right?
I almost played it earlier today.
I remember it being okay.
I never played it. Eric had it, and I never got it. I wasn't really big into.
That's rude.
Well, I don't care. I'm not good at card games. I was never good at card games, so I didn't care to get the trading card game.
I mean, that's fair.
He got it. I think somebody got it for him for his birthday, and I was like, this is dumb. Why not just play the game in person?
Well, because in order to play it in person, you need people with cards.
And we all had cards.
Well, look, now you're just being logical.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I do remember that trading card game on Game Boy Color actually being all right.
Yeah, I remember him talking about it and enjoying it. I just, like I said, I never really played it, so I don't really have too much nostalgia or comment on that one. We also knew that the trading card game and Pokemon Stadium were coming to Switch Online expansion pack.
Yeah, because they had, I forget if they just said it or if it was one of those games that was just in the montage. We just didn't know when it was coming.
Yeah, we just didn't have, like, a date for it. We knew it was coming, we just didn't know when it was. So like when you guys were mentioning that, I kind of was like, well, I mean, we knew that was coming at some point. But the director was yesterday on the 8th. I almost said on the 7th.
It's a presents.
Yeah, the presents was on. It was the same thing. It was on the 8th. Most of us didn't watch it till the 9th. I had already had a bunch of things quote spoiled. It's not really a spoiler because it's just news. Who cares?
Yeah.
But I had a few things already spoiled, like some of the Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet, and then that the Switch Online stuff is got the 2 games. And I was just like, meh. But like the rest of it, I was like, all right, this. Honestly, I'm more interested out of anything in that fucking trading card game TV series.
So was it just me, or was this thing abnormally heavy on animated series?
I mean, what else do they have right now though? Like,
True.
I mean, that's true. I just feel like
they have Ash is done. I think now.
Yeah,
I think it's out at this point.
The English dub is starting to come out for that final stretch of episodes,
which I think that's on Netflix. So I mean, that's as much as we're going to talk about it. But besides that, like they showed the normal stuff that we get at the yearly Pokemon Presents, which is Pokemon Unite, Pokemon Masters, and then the expansion
Pokemon Sleep,
Pokemon Go, and then the expansion to the expansion / new title if it's not an expansion year of their current big title. So like obviously over the course of the next 6 months we're getting 2 expansions in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which I mean we've known about and I have zero interest in because honestly I did not like the end game of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and I lost all interest in it. So next year we'll get the new title which will release holiday next year. And it's just so it's like beside, like, they don't really have anything else, and it's a big year for them for their animated series because their new protagonist and new series starts up this year. And they decided to have a freaking trading card game, like a high school anime thing, which I'm like, this is kind of cool. I'm interested in this.
Yeah, honestly, like that one looks like it could be interesting, but you figure right now we've got, so that it's Path to the Peak is the trading card game focused one.
Yeah.
Which I think is also going to be on YouTube. I know the other one,
there's
Wins or whatever.
Yeah, Paldean something.
Yeah, Paldean Wins is a web series that's going to be on YouTube for sure.
Breath of the Paldean Wild or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they did mention that the new season Horizons is coming soon to. Well, I guess it's coming soon in Japan because we get Pokemon much later here. But then they also have at least one other animated series. They have that stop motion one also. So like, there's just a lot of weird Pokemon spin-offs happening right now.
Stop motion. I might not have caught that. I might not have been paying too much attention.
It was not at this presents. It was I think it was announced last year maybe. I forget what it's probably Netflix. 'Cause I think that they're Who Gets Everything, so we won't go too far into it. But it's like a dude and his Psyduck at like a Pokemon resort, and it's all stop motion.
Huh. Oh, I'll have to look into that. I don't remember that.
It looks neat. Whether or not it's actually good content-wise, who fucking knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and then like the rest of this, like you said, they went over all the mobile games. You can now get Mew and Mewtwo. Oh, well, you can get Mew in your Scarlet and Violet. You just have to go to the mystery gift and enter get your Mew, and you'll get a Mew. And it's valid until the 18th of September, so you got about a month. But then for Mewtwo, you have to beat him in a Terra raid. That's going to start on September 1st.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like you said, it's the DLC, which I never even finished Scarlet and Violet. Like, I don't know that I'm going to bother with the DLC, especially not after what I saw them do to Raikou.
Raikou is a fucking giraffe now or something?
No, he looks like the fucking tall necks from Horizon.
Yeah, it does. And was it Suicune was the other one? Is a fucking robot or some shit, which is future and past, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
But they have another evolution to Applin, which I'm like, why do we need this? So it was already Appleton, which was the apple pie, Flapple or Flappy, which was the flying apple dragon. And now we have Drapple, which is a candied apple. And I'm like, alright, Applin was a cool Pokemon that was introduced in Sword and Shield, but we don't need another apple fucking evolution. You know what you should do? With something I've been wanting? Maybe give fucking Absol an evolution, or pre-evolution, or something like that.
No, Absol is perfect the way they are.
Absol is perfect the way they are, but like, you know what? Give them a pre-evolution. Make them cuter, and then, yeah. But, or you know what?
No.
Just have...
You know what? Every time they add evolutions to Pokemon from previous generations, they fucking ruin them. They don't. The only time they haven't is with Mr. Mime. Mime Jr. and Mr. Rhyme are hilarious.
Yeah.
Everyone else is a fucking travesty.
But, like, they're putting more past Pokemon in the Pokedex than they are introducing new Pokemon, but it's still, the story is still the same, which is, go get the legendary Pokemon. Which, I'm sorry, that, I don't want that anymore. And, like, maybe other people do, but why is it that there's so many legendaries, and that's the goal of the game anymore, is to get the legendary?
It's easy. They don't have to really do anything about it. And, we have been over this a million times. These games are for children. They literally do not give a fuck what we think. They know that 12-year-olds are still going to get their parents to buy this for them.
Yeah. And they also know that we're probably still going to buy it. Because it's Pokemon.
Yeah,
and
like...
There's no point in wait. If you want to get it, there's no point in waiting because it's never going to go on sale.
You know, my annoyance with like the legendary thing this time is very different. So, I'm trying to think of the right way to word this. So, Raikou and Suicune, however you say his name, the two of the three legendary beasts from Gold and Silver.
Yeah, but we don't get Entei.
That we know of. So. Two of the legendary beasts that are historically unique. Not only are they unique to Johto, they are one-of-a-kind Pokemon because they were created by Ho-Oh after their fucking home burned to the ground and they were resurrected and turned into legendary beasts. It's not like the other Pokemon where like you could argue that, okay, yes, while Articuno is viewed as more of like this like legendary species because it's so rare that, you know, there being more than one Articuno is not impossible because it's not like they're deities. They don't live forever. But like for there to be a regional variation of a Pokemon that had no possible way of breeding because it's one of a fucking kind is insane. Unless I guess fucking Raikou ran out of Johto, ran to Paldea over whatever fucking oceans it had to travel, and mated with one of those fucking giraffe Pokemon that had a face on their tail.
Giraffe rig.
Yes.
Frigoraph is the evolution of it now. Which, You know what? That was the one evolution they did good. Frigoraph was great.
That one is silly. Like, I was being a little aggressive with they're never good. But, like, a lot of, like, the evolutions they make to later, like, look at fucking, Magmar. The Gen 4 secondary. Magmar, Electabuzz,
Yeah, Magmortar, fucking what's Electabuzz's?
I don't remember.
Yeah. That's because they sucked. They're fucking terrible. I'll accept Magby and Elekid because, like,
they're
I
cute.
don't know. Yeah, they're alright. Elekid looks like he's got an attitude. His ears look like plugs.
Yeah.
But, like, fuck that. Look what they did to poor Togepi. They turned him into a fucking flying saucer.
They did.
And then also Magnemite. They turned Magnemite into a flying saucer. Literally into a flying saucer.
Yeah, Magnemite, Magneton, and then
Magnezone.
Magnezone, yeah. Magnezone's so stupid.
Yeah.
But
I'm also still annoyed that Magnezone was in Arceus. And it was not part of the temporal rifts. Like, it was just always hanging out, floating around that one mountain. Like,
yeah, that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Like, that was the one thing where I'm just like, alright, I'm cool with these temporal rifts, and some of these Pokemon only existing while you're inside those rifts. What the fuck is this Magnezone doing just always here?
Yeah, we're in the past, and it did not exist in the beginning game, so it shouldn't be here. Unless it did exist, and it just couldn't evolve in the original, whatever.
Yeah, well, no, because it was the final evolution. It was the Magnezone. I don't think you could find Magnemite or Magneton in the game.
You know, you're probably right. You probably couldn't have.
Like, it was a very weird inclusion. Look, the Pokemon Company, like, they don't make good games anymore. And, like, they just don't fucking care about them.
Yeah.
But we know that.
Yeah. But yeah, so the Direct itself, like, I was further unimpressed with the DLCs for Scarlet and Violet, and like I'm very unlikely to get it unless somehow magically I can get it for sub $10 total or $10 or less total. I'm very unlikely to get these DLCs because I just don't really care. The everything else in the Pokemon Presents was like neat. Like I've been wanting to go back and try more of Pokemon Unite. I feel like that game was fun when I did play it, and it can still be fun. I just haven't really been able to play it. I've never really gone back to it, and I think they're incorporating Mewtwo in this one, in this update, and I only been around for 2 years, which shocks me.
Is it only been 2 years?
I think that's what they said is 2-year anniversary.
I don't. So I was kind of like skimming through the thing because I personally did not give a fuck about any of the mobile stuff or the animation. So I was kind of like trying to skip that stuff. So I missed some of the details they gave.
Yeah. But like, and then it's cool that finally, I think they said first time ever that the Pokemon World Champions are in Japan. But you know, they really dropped the ball by not calling that ship the SS Anne.
What ship?
There's a cruise in Japan for the Pokemon World Championships. This shows that you did not really pay attention to it.
So as soon as that guy came on and started talking about the Pokemon World Championship, I'm just like, I do not give any fucks about this.
One of the events, or one of like the attractions that you can do when you're at the Pokemon World Championships is Trainer's Cruise Ship, and you can go on to a cruise ship and do stuff on there that's Pokemon World Championships based. They are not calling it the SS Anne. They just dropped the ball there. I just feel like they really dropped the ball there and should have called it the SS Anne.
That's because the Saint Anne, as it was known in the anime, is at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, but we're not in the anime. We're in real life.
I mean, look, you're doing that thing where you're trying to use logic, and we're talking about Pokemon. You can't use logic with Pokemon.
I mean, you can't use logic with anything.
I mean, that is also very true. Like, I'm not going to disagree with you there.
Yeah. But like, yeah, it was a fine thing. It sucks that like, I wasn't really incredibly interested in anything that Pokemon Company has right now. And
I will say,
I wasn't.
I think Detective Pikachu looks like it could be interesting.
Isn't that just the story from the movie, which is just the story from the original game, just remastered?
No, this is a sequel to the original.
But isn't it? I mean, isn't it? Yeah, okay. I don't know. I never played the original game, but
Neither did I.
I thought, like, from what I understand, or as far as I can remember what I heard, like the original, like the movie followed the story from the original game pretty decently.
That I believe is true. I'm pretty sure that like the original Detective Pikachu and the movie have very close plots, but Detective Pikachu Returns is actually the sequel to the original game.
Mm-hmm. Which, like, if that's true, then like, you know, we kind of know where. Maybe this Pikachu doesn't know where the partner is because the memory loss, and it was the same thing with Detective Pikachu. But yeah, I don't know. It looks good. It could be fun. I don't know. I never played the first one.
Same.
But like, maybe. But again, it's just unfortunate that I just wasn't quite very interested in pretty much anything that the Pokemon Company had to show this time around.
Yeah. I'm waiting for Pokemon Legends 2. Maybe it'll be like Pokemon Legends Johto or something like that.
Pokemon Legends Kanto, and it takes place like 15 years before when the big war happens and why there's no men, and it's just either old people and kids. And
so that would be fucking depressing. No, but like I'd be cool with like a Legends like Kanto that took place like 100 years prior or something like that, just like this one did, and the world's slightly different than we're used to. Like maybe like the Seafoam Islands are not fully formed yet, so like they're not like the same type of caves you go through in the original game, or maybe Cinnabar Island's not an island because it's actually a man-made island.
I could just go for a year or two without a Pokemon game so that they could like really put some effort into the next Pokemon game.
That's not what they do though.
Exactly. So
that's why like if I'm getting a Pokemon game, I'd rather have a Legends style Pokemon game than a core style Pokemon game.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't really want to worry about a basic fucking Pokemon game. Like I want that Legends style. I want Like that how they did the Pokedex and everything was good. I just want them to maybe handle that game's story a little bit better. I thought I never did the post credits stuff in Legends Arceus.
I genuinely enjoyed that game. I did everything.
I don't know. I was a little drained with it by the end. By the time I was over it.
You also like it was a stream game for you, which like I completely understand why like playing a game like that over streams can be very exhausting.
Yeah,
because like there's a lot of time where you're just not really doing anything, and like to feel that you have to be on while also playing that game when like maybe you're just grinding or maybe you're just like I spent a whole lot of time just sitting on the couch watching TV trying to find fucking very rare Pokemon that you had to just like keep leaving an area, flying back to it, and like shaking trees.
Yeah, well, I mean, that wasn't really the issue because like if I wanted to do stuff offline, I did stuff offline. I just thought.
Oh, I thought you only played it online.
I probably primarily played it online because I don't do much gaming outside of streaming. It's because I'm taking that time to watch shows, watch whatever movies we're watching, or watch whatever shows I'm watching. Say that I want to read books, but not like if I'm just wanting to do some grinding to fill my Pokedex in Legends Arceus, I would be playing that while on stream because I want to actually pay attention to it, and I want to like just turn my brain off.
I understand that. Definitely understand that. Speaking of playing games though, Rich, how's Remnant now that it sounds like you actually had some actual time with it?
Yeah, I got another like close to 10 plus hours into it since last time we played, or since last week. It's good. It's very short. A lot shorter than the first one, as far as I can remember. But like the game and the story isn't like super important. Like there's a lot of lore to it. It's very Soulsborne-esque, where like there's a lot of lore to the world and lore that you can learn about. But in general, it's not like the story doesn't really totally matter. It's the gameplay and how they built the world. And one thing that's very interesting about Remnant 2 is every playthrough, most likely every playthrough for you and your friends is going to be different. So there are several different paths that each of the worlds can take. And so each time you play, you may have a different path in the world. Or possible that you may have a different path in a few of the worlds, but then one of the worlds you have the same path as before. So, like, some of the storylines in each world can be a little bit different.
Okay.
Which, like, that's a neat aspect to it, because then it pushes you to play the story and the harder difficulty more often, because it is short. I got to the last world when I played on Monday, and I think that's probably about 10 to 15-ish hours, maybe. And once I'm not, like, watching the cutscenes and skipping things and knowing what I'm doing, like, it'll probably be faster. But the game in general was built originally in the first one. It was like you play through the story, and then once you're done the story, you do the adventure mode, and the adventure mode will unlock different weapons and things like that. And the overall idea in the first Remnant was you get all the armors, and then based on the armors that you have equipped and your powers that you have equipped, you can set up different loadout. In this one, it's all about your class and your subclass. So your armor is just armor. That's it. You don't upgrade it. You don't make it stronger. Your weapons you can make stronger and make them better. But as you play throughout the game, you can unlock different classes and subclasses, or different classes that you can have one equipped as a primary, one equipped as a secondary. So when I started last week, I played as the medic class, and so I get all the different abilities to heal. And like the first ability you get is an AoE that you place down, and it heals over time. And there's a time limit, so you can go and stand in this thing. Your next ability is like an aura that you use that will give everyone a set of shields based on how much health they're down and heal them over time for like 30 seconds or something. And then the last ability is like a very strong heal that you can use that will actually bring people back to life when they're knocked out. And so you pick one of them to use, plus all of the other stat bonuses that you have from your traits, and from getting your trait points, to like load out your character the best way you can, and you get different traits by completing different objectives and things like that. Very similar to Remnant from the Ashes, except this time in Remnant from the Ashes, it was basically unlimited trait points. Every time you leveled up, you got a trait point, and you could put it in, and like traits maxed out at 20, I believe, 10 or 20, and it would be like, in total, it'd be like plus 20% damage, plus 10% this, like at total at max. In Remnant 2, you only get trait points from finding trait books, and there you can only have, I think they increased it with the latest update, you can only have like 30. Or no, not 30, it's 70. You can only have 30 trait points. But once you buy the item, you can respec unlimited times. So you can spec yourself to be different, to have faster ability use, or higher health, or this or that, and the other thing. Overall, it's a very similar style to the first one. You go, you fight the bosses, you get the items, you bring the items to the person, you upgrade those to create your weapons or your powers, which are called mods and things like that. And then you have your primary class, like I said, the medic. Secondary class could be whatever you want. Right now I'm actually running, my primary class is the handler, which gets a little dog companion, which runs around and attacks and can use some support abilities, and if you get knocked down...
Is it better than Torgal, as far as like doing damage and attacking?
I mean... On its own. Torgal can fight on his own, and can heal better, but not quite... That's a good question. I haven't maxed out the dog yet. I'm only like level 4 into it, and it's 4 out of 10. So I didn't even get the second ability for the dog yet, which is the healing ability.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Torgal, wonderful video game dog. Useless battle companion.
Torgal, bestest boy. Unless you're, yes, he's a pain to... He's not really useless. His cure sucks, because cure sucks in that game in general, because they didn't think about it. But his other abilities are useful in situational circumstances.
So where I got to in the game, he wasn't doing anything on his own. So if I wasn't spamming stuff for him, he was just kind of like off to the side staring at the bushes.
I mean, he would attack on his own, but he wouldn't do any of his abilities on his own. Occasionally he would heal on his own. But like, there is an accessory that you can equip that will have him act on his fully.
Oh, well, that's at least better.
Yeah, I never used it. I thought about using it, but I never used it. But the dog is, I mean, you can command it to attack. It'll attack on its own. The unfortunate thing is a lot of enemies in Remnant are flyers. So, like, the dog has a hard time fighting flying enemies because they're in the air and the dog does not have a gun.
Have you considered teaching the dog how to fly?
I've tried. I've tried eating him off the ledge. He won't do it. But, like, he has howls that'll do AoEs. So right now he's set to support, where if you have him howl, you take less damage, and he actually becomes a tank, and the enemies will be drawn to attack him over anything else. And that's Remnant. Like, that's Remnant 2 in a nutshell, as quick as I could go over it. Like, if you liked the first one, you were probably going to like this one. If you thought the first one was interesting or fun, and you'd never beat it, you'll probably like this one. I've been playing, it's a little difficult. I've been playing on the veteran difficulty, which apparently this game doesn't have an easy difficulty. So the normal is the lowest difficulty they have, and then veteran is hard. Apparently, I didn't know that. So I went with veteran because it's the second difficulty, which is always the normal difficulty, in my opinion. Every game that has difficulty setting, the top one is easy, the middle one is normal, and everything after that one, or first one, second one, everyone after that is just hard. It's just different levels of hard. So I've been playing on veteran, which is like supposed to be hard mode essentially, and it's good. I really enjoy it. I have a lot of fun with it. Shooting's good. The guns are very fun. I got this one gun that like you can shoot. It's alternate fire, and it places like kind of a shield in front of you. And then if you shoot that again, it's just a wave that goes ahead slowly, and it hits enemies multiple times. Well, as long as they're in like this cube wave that goes forward. I have another one that's like the strongest weapon in the game. It's an electric gun that'll like link chain lightning everything, and you can place pylons down on the ground, so as enemies run by them, they get hit with the lightning. Like, you place 2, and if they run through the 2, they get hit with the lightning within it. Or you can link them across a bunch of them, and it's very cool. I haven't really had a lot of chance to play with any of the new classes or things like that. I haven't unlocked them all. I'm about to go into the final world the next time I play. But it's fun. From what I hear, playing through the game, what's the word? Playing through the game, the story mode is more beneficial for you than playing the adventure mode most of the time, because you get like the different story rewards more. You're more likely to get the different story rewards, I think, or something like that. It's what I'm told. I haven't really tried it. It's once you get done, you just play through the adventure mode a bunch of times, and just I don't 100% really know the point of Remnant. Like, at the end of it all, once you beat the game, I don't really know the point of Remnant beyond playing it on a harder difficulty. Like, I don't know what the end game is, because I didn't really do a lot of the end game in Remnant from the Ashes in the first one, because as soon as we finished that, I jumped right into Final Fantasy.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you kind of went right from one to the other.
Yeah, so the idea originally was to, like, play that, like, jump back and forth between that and Monster Hunter Rise, while also playing Final Fantasy, and I had wanted to beat Final Fantasy a lot sooner, but I didn't have as many short streams, or I didn't have as many long streams as I have done in the past for RPGs, so it just took me a lot longer to beat this game. So I wasn't able to jump back and forth between Remnant 1 and this, because I wanted to beat Final Fantasy before Remnant 2 came out, so I could just focus the time to play Remnant 2, which I also didn't get around to doing. I ended up still having Final Fantasy to play after Remnant 2 came out.
You just want to play too many games is what I'm hearing.
I do. There's just too many games out there. There's just too many games. I hate it so much. I want to get Baldur's Gate. I still haven't gotten God of War Ragnarok. I still haven't gotten Jedi Survivor. Still haven't gotten Tears of the Kingdom. City Skylines 2 comes out in September. I want Pikmin 4. Fucking just too many games, man. There's too many games.
I mean, just play more games.
I am. I'm playing more games, but at the moment, I don't have the money for more games. So, like, if I start a new game, it's either going to be a game I've previously on, which I've been playing with the idea of doing Demon's Souls, because I've been really wanting to play that again, especially on stream, or it's going to be Death's Door, because that is actually free on PS Plus, but it's also been available on Game Pass for forever, and it's been a game I've been wanting to play.
So I only played a little bit of that game. That game is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
I couldn't get into it because it's got like the roguelike and a little bit of like the Soulsy sort of.
I have not heard roguelike. I've heard Zelda-like.
Death's Door is the one where you're the bird creature thing, right?
Yeah.
No, it's like when you die, you load back. So like roguelite more than roguelike. Like it's got a little bit of that like starting over bit to it. And it's got like the big boss fights like you'd have from like a Souls-ish game, but like not as punishing. Like it's not those type of fights, but it's kind of like laid out in a similar way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But like it plays really well, and like the idea behind it was really cool. And I could see some of like the SNES style Zelda games too.
Yeah.
For
so
sure.
like that's definitely on my short list right now. Of games that I'm going to be playing, but like Remnant 2, I'll be done that. I was thinking about playing it on Sunday. I might do like a bonus stream on Saturday and just clear it, and then just play it Saturday night once I finish everything else I'm working on this weekend. Because Sunday's going to be a variety stream for sure. If I do a long stream on Sunday, it's going to be a variety stream. I'm going to play a bunch of different games, and I don't want to put the ending of a game in the middle of a variety stream.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so...
I still don't understand why you're not just jumping right into Baldur's Gate 3.
I just mainly don't have the money, but I don't have the patience for a game that's going to be more than 20 hours at the moment. I don't. Like, because that... And it doesn't force it. This is a personal thing, but like, it pushes more the need to have long streams to be able to dedicate that long amount of time to play it. And so if I can't get those long streams in, then I feel like I'm taking too long to play the game, and I feel like people are going to get bored with it. There's so many people playing it right now too, especially like, so let's see, I'm watching someone play it right now on Twitch, and if we look at their viewer count, the viewer count currently, there's 124,000 people playing watching Baldur's Gate 2. There's only 98,000 followers, but there's 124,000 people watching it. With the peak is 11,000 people watching one person's stream of them playing Baldur's Gate. But there's just, I'm sure that I wish it gave a streamer count, like how many streamers are streaming it. That's one thing they don't do, is tell you how many people are live playing that game. But it's like...
Oh, for some reason I thought they did.
No, they tell you how many people are watching. They don't tell you how many people are live. But 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go with... There's 15. That's 30. That's 45. That's 60. That's 75. That's 90. That's 105. We're still at 90 viewers at 105 people. Or 105 streamers. That's 120. What's that? 135. 150. And we're at 55 viewers at 150. So I average about 3 to 7 viewers per stream.
Have you thought about getting more like 150?
I'm trying. I'm trying, man.
It seems like other people are doing it.
Oh, I need more people to come watch my stream, Drew and Cobb.
Play a game I like at a time I can arrive.
I mean, you can arrive at any time. You don't have to like it. You can just be there and just sit there and watch and not even pay attention to it. Just have me on in the background.
You literally just said sit there and watch. How can I watch and not pay attention?
Well, I mean, you can just put it on in the background on your phone while you're doing whatever the hell else you want to do.
I'm using my phone.
Doing what?
Usually scrolling through dumb shit.
Well, instead of scrolling through dumb shit, you could just have me on your phone. You could also probably have me on your phone in the small little screen while you do other shit.
Oh, I turn off the what is that called? Like it's not split screen.
Picture, I think.
Yeah, I turn that off because it gets in the way of things. Fucking Google Maps does it. I fucking hate it.
See, like you could totally be there watching and helping me get to 150.
I wish Twitch offered background play the way YouTube does. Actually, does YouTube allow you to do background for live streams?
YouTube. I mean, you have to be a YouTube Red or Plus member to be able to do background.
I am, because I fucking hate ads.
So you should be able to.
You know what? If I ever get a notification that you're fucking streaming on YouTube, I will, I'll put it on the background with the volume. Does YouTube still have the requirement that, like, you have to have a little volume for it to count?
I have no idea what YouTube's requirements are. I have zero idea what YouTube's requirements are.
You're just streaming to it and hope for the best?
I mean, at this point, it's like, one thing I've heard to help grow on YouTube is to post every day. Quantity over quality. So that's...
Really?
Yeah. So that's part of my goal for just streaming I stream everywhere now. I'm also on Kick. I stream on all the 3 major services at the moment. Just because I don't care anymore about what Twitch has to say, because they suck. So I might as well start trying to grow my communities in other places while I'm doing that.
I mean, that's fair. Like, until they say something to you, fuck them.
Even when they do say something to me, what are they going to do? Delete my account and charge me $25 to give me the money that I have in my account? You're already going to do that whether I cancel or not. So it's not like if I have any money in my Twitch account, they're going to charge me up to $25 or however much is in the account up to $25 to clear out the account and pay me. So there is no point in worrying about that. Either way, I'm still going to owe them $20. So I might as well just do what I'm doing anyway. Yeah, I mean
do what works, right?
Yeah,
do what works.
So yeah, that's most of the reason why I still stream on YouTube. I was being told by a bunch of people they weren't getting notifications when I was going live. They weren't being told one dude his kid will be watching YouTube, so it'll consider him active on YouTube on a different device. So it won't notify him that I'm going live. There was one time, he even went to his live page to see if I was live, and YouTube was not keeping me marked as live. So it was not even telling people that I was live. But if you went to my channel, you would see that I had a live video going and you'd be able to watch it. But if you went to your subscriber panel on the side, it wasn't marking me as live. So I was just I want YouTube to be the primary thing for where I grow because Twitch sucks, and I want to continue to make Let's Plays and things. So the best way for me to make daily content on here is to just stream on here. And what I'm doing the same thing with Kick. Like, I'm using Kick just to try to grow there. But until I become bigger, if I don't become bigger on there, then fine, so be it. The primary place to hang out with me is Twitch because it has all the bells and whistles. But you can also check me out on Kick and YouTube.
Okay, fine. You're done plugging yourself.
Look,
no more plugs.
I'm just saying. Now, this is just I wasn't trying to plug myself. I was just saying.
You started plugging yourself.
This is the mentality.
I always give you an opportunity at the end to plug yourself, and you're just taking advantage of it.
Look, fine. I know. But I also sometimes I don't really mention either of the podcasts on my streams. There are commands for both of them that no one uses.
I don't know what that means.
If you do !OQ, I believe, it'll be like, hey, check out PodQuest and OneQuest and link to OneQuest. Or I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean I didn't actually know that was a thing you could do on Twitch. So
yeah, it's also on. Yeah, I have it set on YouTube as well. But Kick doesn't have access to the bot that I use at the moment, so I don't have it on there yet. I have to figure out. I have to download or get a different bot to connect them all.
Well, get your bots.
I'm working.
Anything else you want to say about Remnant though?
No. I mean, Remnant's good. It's fun. Like I said, if you like the first one, you'll like this one. I'll beat the game sometime before next stream or next time we record, and I'll let you know what I thought about the ending and the end game content. But like I said, I don't really know what the point of Remnant is after you beat it. I never did the end game content before. I don't know what the end game content is here. So we'll see. This is a learning experience.
Which are the best kinds of experience.
Yes.
But anyway, I watched the latest season of Demon Slayer, which I believe is season 3.
Yes. Well, technically, the way it's marked on other channel or on everywhere, even Crunchyroll, it's like technically season 4 because they're all considered different series. So like season 1 was the first season, Demon Slayer, whatever.
Yeah, just like the basic.
Yeah, which goes through like the forest fight with the spider people. Season 2 is the Mugen Train, and season 3 is the Entertainment District.
So Crunchyroll looks like it's changed it. It's actually worse.
Well, no. See, the thing is, they're all different seasons. They're all also different series. So each and every single one of these, at least on Hulu, which is where I watched it, which is the new one, the new season, Swordsmith Village, is not available on at this point. So I need to get Crunchyroll. And I don't think it ever will be available on. Hulu has them all listed as separate series.
So like the way that Bleach and 1000 Year Blood War are split?
Yes.
Okay.
This is like Mugen Train series. But they also have Mugen Train, the movie. I don't think they actually have Mugen Train, the movie. But they have Mugen Train, this series. Mugen Train Arc is its own series. And I think that's how Crunchyroll does that, right?
No. So Crunchyroll, it's all under one series. It's all Demon Slayer. It is broken up into seasons. Season 1 is just Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, or however you say that. And that was the initial 26 episodes. And then you have Season 2, Demon Slayer, the movie, Mugen Train. 1 episode, because it's just the movie.
Yeah.
And then you have Season 2, Demon Slayer, Mugen Train Arc. 7 episodes.
Yeah.
Which is just the movie split into 7 episodes. And then you have Season 2, Demon Slayer, Entertainment District Arc, which is the 11 episodes that is really what, like, the 11 and 7 basically make up Season 2.
Yeah.
And then you have Season 3, which is the Swordsmith Village Arc, which is 11 episodes. And it just... So I think it wrapped up like 2 or 3 months ago, and the dub of episode 11 just came out this past Sunday. So you have not gotten to watch Swordsmith Village.
No, I'm going to need your Crunchyroll log.
You get your own, sir.
I ain't paying for more streaming services.
So this... You did watch Entertainment District, right?
Yeah, I watched them all. I've watched the entire series up until this.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I wanted to double check. So I'm gonna try not to like give you any spoilers, though there is one thing that I think you'll be happy to know. Zenitsu is not in this season at all.
Thank God. Fucking hate him.
Yeah, him and Inosuke not in this season.
Well, that's a bummer because I love Inosuke.
Yeah, I mean, everybody does. But yeah, they're off doing their own thing. The setup for this is it's immediately after the entertainment district. They were all fucked from that fight. That one Hashira has retired from Hashira-ing.
Yeah.
And fucking Tanjiro has once again lost or destroyed a sword.
Yeah.
So this time, rather than being able to get the dude to deliver it to him, he has to go to the Swordsmith Village, which is like a hidden location. Only some of like I guess they're like attendants to them know where it's at. So like he gets taken there with a blindfold and nose plugs because they don't want him to be able to like discern its location through scent.
Yeah, because he has superhuman smelling.
Yeah. And then like that's basically the setup. I liked this season the least. I think it has a problem where it's 11 episodes fighting the same enemy, which kind of what happened in the last one, but I think that enemy was just more interesting. The upper ranked demons or whatever they're called in this one were not all that interesting in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, like there wasn't really any extra story. Like I feel like in the first season and even in part of the entertainment district, there was a little bit more world building happening.
Yeah.
And a little bit more, even the Mugen Train stuff. Like you were getting a little bit more about kind of the demons and the main bad guy and all of that stuff. Where in this season, all of that was very light. The very beginning of the season, you get a little bit more about like the swordsmiths. And like, I do think that whole setup is interesting, but it was like the first 2 episodes and then it was fighting the same 2 demons the whole way through. And it was just 9 episodes or whatever of just that. And like,
sorry to cut you off, but like,
no, go ahead.
Demon Slayer has major Dragon Ball Z feel. Because, like, yes, it might be a 11 episode season, but 7 of the 11 episodes in the entertainment district were them fighting. And, like, some of those fights had nothing happening, or some of those episodes.
Yeah, and that same thing here. Like, there are several episodes that are primarily flashback.
Mm-hmm.
So there are 2 Hashira in this season, which you'll get if you just look at the art for the cover art. Like, the characters are on there. It's the I think he's like mist breathing or something like that. He's the one that's super shitty and like monotone and mean to everybody. And he's like very young. And then it's the girl with the pink and green hair.
Mm-hmm.
Only like one of the 2 is like, they're both very prominent in like the intros and all. One of them is only in it for about an episode and a half. But actually ends up being super cool how they fight and everything. And you get like no time with that. Like they're just kind of like brushed off to the side. One of their 2 episodes is a flashback to like how they became like a demon slayer and a Hashira. Which sure, like that stuff's interesting to an extent, but not when like these characters are introduced for 1 season and then sent packing. Like so far every season except for the first one you meet all of them. So that's a little bit different. But in every other season, or every other like segment, let's call it, you meet at least 1 new Hashira. And they either die or get maimed in such a way where they can no longer continue being a Hashira. Like, Rengoku is killed during Mugen Train, and I forget the other guy's name. The guy with, like, the dual blades and all the wives. He loses his hand. So, like, he can't be a sword fighter without both hands. I'm not going to spoil anything for, like, if anything happens to the Hashiras here, but it's like, well, you're obviously just having Tanjiro team up with 1 each arc. Which, sure, that makes a little bit of sense storytelling, but it just doesn't work in 11 episodes. Especially when 2 of those episodes are double length, because the first and last of every season seems to be a 50-minute episode.
Yeah.
And, like, for all the cool things about this series, like, they're focusing on the wrong stuff, I feel like, in the seasons now. Like, the animation for the fights are amazing. Fantastic animation. Seeing the one female Hashira with the pink hair fight, she has probably the coolest fighting style that they've had any of them demonstrate so far.
Mm-hmm.
But like, cool animation is only half of like what makes the show good, and it's like, I don't know, it's becoming very repetitive after 3 seasons. Like, I don't know, it's hard to explain that part, but there were some good things. I do like they've been slowly kind of letting Nezuko kind of not evolve, but like So in the previous season, how, like, she got, like, that, like, extra boost and kind of went feral.
Yeah.
And so, like, they have her doing that again, but, like, she seems a little bit more in control.
Mhm.
So, like, they're letting her keep up with, like, some of these other characters rather than making her just, like the one and done like she was early on, where, like, she would pop up, she'd be able to do something, and then she'd immediately be, like, out of it afterwards, like, either drained or injured or what have you. But they're also not focusing on that, which is nice. Like, they are kind of spreading things around. But, like, frankly, like, I find all the upper demons kind of fucking boring. Or the ranked demons, I guess you'd say. Like, I feel like every one of them kind of has, like, the same, the same shtick of, you know, oh, their head probably isn't what you think their head is.
Yeah. And I feel like this is why I'm not, like, 100% on the series. Like, I'll watch it as everything is aired dubbed. I don't care to have it subbed. I think it is a fine series and an entertaining series. But it is definitely a popcorn series. Because it's all going to be pretty much the same. Where it's the big bads are going to be extremely strong. And they're all going to have the same weakness, but slightly different. And it's just going to be, it is an action series that takes a long time to do the action. The art and everything is fantastic, but the action is just, it's Dragon Ball Z.
And, like, yeah, like, it has a lot of similarities when it comes to the action to Dragon Ball. But, like, while I think the animation is probably better than Dragon Ball, I think that the actual fights in Dragon Ball are usually better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there feels like there is more on the line in Dragon Ball, and there is more, like, versatility, I guess would be the best way to put it, in Dragon Ball than there is in the combat in Demon Slayer. Like, so far, like, since the first season, like, Mugen Train, Entertainment, and now this one, like, the big thing is, like, oh, well, these guys are stronger, so cutting their heads off, like the head you see on their body, is not the way that you beat them. And it's like, I apologize, like minor spoiler, but, like, that's how they've opened every season, is, like, somebody inevitably gets that kill thing, and then the guy stands back up, and it's like, okay, so we're doing the same fucking thing again. Like, sure, like, the how, why, and where of it is different, and some of it can be interesting, but, like, 3 seasons in a row where, like, your bad guy shtick is just a variation of the same thing as before, like, that kind of sucks. And it's a shame, because I genuinely think, like the lore in this series is very cool. And it's just, I don't know. It's losing me a little bit in a way where I feel like the first 2 seasons, or like the first season and the Mugen Train movie, because I think the fucking 7 episodes were a waste of time. I'm just like, yes, this is cool. Like, the movie was actually a perfect way to do it, because, like, you don't need, 6 hours to tell these stories. Like,
yeah.
A 2-hour movie does it just fine.
Yeah.
Like, in 2 hours, they can introduce the Swordsmith Village, introduce the protagonist side of things, introduce the villains, do truncated versions of the backstory, because we don't need 2 20-minute episodes, one for each of, like, the heroes, and then still have, like a compelling climax. Instead, it's 6 hours of, like, okay, well, we're going to drag this out and do 20 whole minutes of this character's backstory, and then we're going to flash back to it 3 more times because we need to pad out these episodes a little bit more.
Yeah. It's almost as if the series isn't really that good.
So
I feel like the manga would be fantastic.
And that's what I've heard. Apparently the manga is really good.
But I think also the manga's over or going to be over soon.
It's actually been over for, like, a couple of years, which I think that might be why I'm even more frustrated with the anime. Because it's like, motherfuckers, you have the complete story. Like, I understand this show is popular and it probably does make them money by, like, dragging things out, but, like, y'all have everything. There's no need for filler. There's no need for padding it out. This isn't One Piece where they're, like, less than 100 chapter episode difference where they're at now. So, like, episodes are almost chapter, like, page for page the chapters. Like, just tell the most concise story you can with the source material. If you only need 6 episodes to tell that story, fucking make it 6 episodes. Just make it good. Tell 2 stories in 1 season. Like, if you have to do the 11 episodes that are really, like, 13, do that, but have it split. Like, do the Swordsmith Village, and then do whatever the next one is. Like, man, entertainment's dumb, Drew. You've had it right the whole time.
Yeah.
Everything is awful. Anime adjacent. Rich, have you started the? Also, to be clear, apparently anime, because it isn't Hollywood, is not struck content. So we're not cherry picking.
It's not as much. It's not the content that's struck. It's the contracts. So if you're watching whatever content you're watching based off specifically Hulu or anything else, you shouldn't talk about it. But if it's available elsewhere, then you can talk about it more. If it's like, because it's more, the thing is, the contracts with Hulu, the contracts with Netflix, contracts with all of the other major streaming services for screen actors. So like for live action, those are the things that are being struck right now, and same with writers in general. But anime generally doesn't have American writers. They're not in the American Writers Guild, so they're not specifically going to. The dubs might be under that, but the subs for sure aren't.
Yeah, and so apparently, all the communication is a little weird if you're not like actually a member. I was actually there's a podcast I listen to, A More Civilized Age. It's got Austin Walker and some other people mostly from what used to be Waypoint. And they talk about Star Wars. So that they're one of those rewatch podcasts. So they were doing all of Clone Wars. They've transitioned to Rebels. They've done like the prequel movies. They've done some of the novels that like tie into like the Clone Wars era stuff. But they're not going to do Rebels anymore until the strike's over, because of that basically being promoted as the prequel to Ahsoka.
Yeah, and that's also on Disney Plus.
Exactly.
And so it's more the idea of Disney, the contracts with Disney are being struck, so you don't want to promote anything that Disney owns and runs.
Yeah. So they had Adam Conover on, because they're friends with that guy from like Adam Ruins Everything.
Yeah.
On their most recent episode of A More Civilized Age, which they spoke almost nothing about Star Wars, which I thought was hilarious. The whole episode was them talking to him about the strike and like kind of like really about how things work. It's actually
Zach and Donald and Fake Doctors Real Friends did the exact same thing with Adam Conover, whom they only know him from his shows. They've never met him in real life. But he is one of the negotiators for the Writers Guild, which is why he's in both. He's in SAG-AFTRA and WGA. If you want to know and pay attention to anything that's going on, follow Adam Conover. He's an awesome comedian. He is an awesome performer in general. I love him. But he's very active and proactive and activist on these strikes and everything. And his YouTube channels and his Instagrams and everything else are posting stories about it. But yeah, Fake Doctors Real Friends also had Adam Conover on, and they were talking about it as well. Like the strikes and what they can and can't talk about, because right now, Fake Doctors Real Friends cannot talk about Scrubs.
Exactly.
So this week's episode, they had the trainer that they use on their Pelotons on. Nice. And they interviewed him. Okay, that's cool.
So I would say, like, if anyone's interested, like, check out the episode of A More Civilized Age, because it was not that, like, other than Adam Conover, the people on that show, they are not union members, but they are, like, the majority of them have spent a large part of their life with the press. So, like, they kind of have, like, an idea of how some of that stuff works. Mm-hmm. But according to Conover, they were asking him questions that none of the other, like, podcasts and stuff that he's been on were asking, like, how do the negotiations work? When do you start, like, planning for the like literally asking, like how the whole process plays out. Incredibly interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I might want to give that a listen. Send me a link to that.
Will do. But yeah, so in that, the way that he was describing it, unless I very much misheard, it's not so much the platforms themselves, except in the cases where, like you said, like Disney Plus, everything on Disney Plus is a Disney property. So it's basically everything on there is technically struck content because they own all of it. So promoting any of it is promoting them. But when you have like a Netflix or a Hulu where they have their own original content plus content that is licensed, some of that licensed content is struck material. So like Groundhog's Day, like we were going to do for book club, would be. But in a lot of cases, things like anime or even some of like the K-dramas and stuff like that, like what was that fucking Squid Game?
Yeah.
They don't necessarily automatically fall under struck content because no part of their production involved the WGA or SAG-AFTRA. So you can talk about that because it's not content that impacts them in any real way.
Yeah.
And he even said, he's like, neither of the unions are asking people to boycott platforms.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want you to cancel your Netflix or your Hulu or your Max. Like, they just want, like, the most that they're asking for is if you feel comfortable not promoting content that is, like, on the struck side, they appreciate it.
Yeah.
Unless you're a member or would like to be a member, then, like, no, like, don't do it or you might lose your membership. And apparently, influencers are now members of SAG-AFTRA.
I mean, I guess... SAG. Well, I don't know what the AFTRA stands for, but SAG is
it's
Screen
like
Actors
arts and it's. I know radio is in there, and I think theater. Like it's not the screen. Like so, SAG is the Screen Actors. AFTRA is like all of the other things that like are acting, related at least. Because they used to be two separate unions. They merged. They merged a while ago now, but not like as long ago as you might think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, everything he talks about on there, super interesting.
Yeah. That's basically what he said on Fake Doctors is, it's not the content that's struck, it's the contract. So we're striking the contracts, and the contract, for instance, Disney is an easy target. Disney owns the contract for all of their content on Disney Plus. So you're striking Disney because they own that contract.
Exactly.
Or they're striking against the contract that's owned by that because the contract is what's keeping people from making the good money. And I can't even say the good money, the livable wage money.
Yeah.
Because yes, the people like Zach and Donald, and not necessarily Adam Conover, but potentially Adam Conover, they'll be fine. But like the best example that he gave was he has Adam Ruins Everything, which was on True TV.
Is it about what his residuals were for it?
Yeah.
He talks about that on A More Civilized Stage too. I was about to mention it.
So he says that like 1 year or something like that of Adam Ruins Everything on True TV. I don't remember the number, but he got like $100,000 for 1 year of Adam Ruins Everything or something like that.
So his initial payment for
or it was like
show,
1 month or something like that or something.
No. So his initial payment for like a season basically was $25,000.
Yeah.
So in 1 year, he got $25,000 for that. Every time it's aired, he got residuals. Like, so once a year, he'd get a check for the residual. And he said the most recent check he got for residuals, because that show, like True TV airs two things, Impractical Jokers and Adam Ruins Everything.
Yeah.
His most recent one, he said, was for $2,000.
Yeah.
So a $18,000 difference over the course of that. He then said that he got so he did the show on Netflix that was basically Adam Ruins Everything, but all government, called The G Word.
Yeah.
Right.
For that one, his residual check was $500
after a year of it being on the platform. And so
that's what they're fighting for.
Yeah, and that's bullshit because and that's the problem, because Netflix doesn't release their numbers. We don't know how many people actually watched the content. So, was that $500 based off of it just didn't hit and people didn't watch it? Or is that $500 based off a really shitty contract and so many people watched it, he should have gotten a ton more? And it's and maybe him as the performer on the show might have known the view numbers and things like that. But it's just, it is bad contracts across all of these streaming platforms. Almost as if, maybe advertiser-free content doesn't really make these companies money, and they really need advertisers to be able to pay the residuals. And so Netflix already has an advertiser block. Don't be surprised if everything else gets too expensive too.
Yeah, exactly. But so to circle back, the question I had for you, have you started the second set of Bleach at all yet?
Yes, I actually watched the most recent episode yesterday, because I completely forgot about it. This weekend was fucking busy. And so I'd completely forgot about it until last night when I was, like, winding down from shows. I was like, oh shit, I gotta watch Bleach. And so I am caught up on the most recent season. It's so good. It is so good.
Okay, that's literally what I was going to ask you. Like, we have not started watching it yet.
This episode, you've read it, so I can tell you about it and don't not feel bad about spoilers, because I'm sure you know most of it already, right?
Right.
So this episode, Renji shows up and he uses his new Bankai for the first time.
Oh, like his true Bankai.
Yeah, that was badass. Drew, that's what I meant to send this out yesterday. Drew, you would have loved this episode of Bleach.
Oh.
Yeah, the villain they fight is a wrestler. He's more of a luchador, and he's like super obnoxious wrestler luchador dude. That like he powers up and gets stronger as like a part. He's split into two parts. His main part and this little dude I think named Kevin or something like that. I don't remember its name. But every time the main guy gets hurt and goes near death, Kevin cheers for him, and he powers up and gets stronger.
Oh, I remember this.
And so every time he calls him superstar, he gets stronger. It's all wrestling. You would have loved it.
Yeah.
Well, Drew, I think you need to start watching Bleach. It's about 366 episodes to get caught up. I guess 377 episodes to get caught up. So you can probably do it this week.
Yeah. No
yeah,
problem.
definitely. I'll get right on to that.
But anyway, anything else either you guys want to talk about?
No. Drew, have you been able to play the new season of Apex yet?
No, I didn't. I'd seen talk about it. I didn't realize patch was out and that it was already
it just came out yesterday, or it came out.
Okay.
Yeah, yesterday on Tuesday. Cobb, it's significant because they basically reworked an entire character. I
thought you quit Apex and you were never playing again.
I haven't played it, but I watch people play it, and I'm not never playing it again. I get that I get that sense of, God, I really don't know if I want to do this every time I feel like playing Apex, that I haven't gone back to playing it, but and I know a few other streamers that are just like, yeah, I really don't want to do this anymore whenever it comes to Apex. But they entirely reworked a character, which I think both are playable. I can't 100% remember how it worked, but they kind of completely changed one of the core characters. And was he meta? I don't think he was. But yeah, it's just significant in that sense. And it looks like King's Canyon is back too. I'm watching somebody play it right now.
Nice. I don't know what any of the things you just said were.
I know. This is more for Drew.
All right. Well, do you guys want to wrap up then?
Yeah, that's a good show.
I'm glad you think so. So, if you would like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. I just realized next week, book club. It's another music one. We're doing Less Than Jake's Anthem and Stand Atlantic's F.E.A.R. Mm-hmm. Listen to those. They're good.
Still have to do that.
Slacker. If you can't support us with your dollars, though, over at patreon.com/onequest, you can support us by going to your favorite podcast platform like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, other places too. You can rate us, review us, subscribe to us. All of those things help more than you realize. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @1_quest on Instagram and Twitter. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/onequestvideo. And you can always send us emails to social@one-quest.com. And Rich, go ahead, plug yourself one more time.
Twitch.tv/B_walnuts for video game streaming. You can also do youtube.com/@bwalnuts and kick.com/b-walnuts because they don't have underscores in their URL.
Man, you need to get your fucking branding under control, man.
No, YouTube doesn't allow, as far as I know, maybe they do, but they don't do hyphen or they don't do symbols in their URLs.
Except for the @ symbol for some stupid fucking reason.
So they do the @ but they don't. So it's my name on I think I might even just be youtube.com/@bwalnutsgaming, but it might just be @bwalnuts. They don't do any symbols besides @ in their URL. Kick doesn't do underscores, And Twitch, I started with underscore. So, like, Twitch was the original. But, like, on Kick, I am B_walnut. But my URL is -walnuts. It's dumb. So yeah, check me out on all of those. Pick your poison, whichever one you want to do. I will be starting, sub goals. I've already started sub goals for this month, but I haven't posted them yet and figured out what they are. I think basically the idea is that every month, the sub goals will be my general, subathon goals that I had for my last subathon. So if we can reach that if we can reach that number of subs, max on any of the platforms, we will get, that reward. Yes, that means if we have 20 subs across on Kick, but only 5 on Twitch, we're only getting up to the 20 sub. It all has to be on the same platform. Yes, I'm trying to get you guys to pay me more money, but just use your Amazon ones on Twitch. It's much easier.
Man, what a shitty business tactic.
I'm telling you to use a free thing on me.
But yeah, with that, we will be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See you.
Bye.